Dear colleagues, good morning. I would like to thank you for participating in this first Mediterranean dialogue on the food crisis. Allow me to thank Germany, Lebanon, Turkey for co-chairing this event, and the FAO, here represented by Director General Chu, for providing its collaboration and technical support. Hunger and food insecurity have always been high on the international agenda, but seldom food scarcity has had such a worldwide impact. I will leave it to Director General Chu to describe the dire situation we are facing today. At the outset, allow me to recall that our discussion takes place against the backdrop of a pressing emergency, assisting Ukraine in exporting the millions of tons of wheat and foodstuff currently blocked in its silos. Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi has discussed this issue with President Putin and President Zelensky. Italy supports the United Nations and the European Union's efforts to address this issue and thank the German presidency of the G7 for its engagement. We will continue to contribute actively to all international efforts to find a solution to this matter. As a consequence of the Russian aggression against Ukraine, food insecurity is on the rise globally. Many international initiatives and their coordination are being discussed in multilateral fora to tackle the potential disruptive consequences of the new crisis. The G7 leaders established the Global Alliance for Food Security as a strategic international coordination and information exchange mechanism open to interested countries and international organizations. The G7 Global Alliance prioritized regional outreach initiatives starting from Africa and the Mediterranean region with the technical support of United Nations Rome-based agency as FAO, IFAD, and World Food Programme. In this framework, Italy proposed this first ministerial Mediterranean dialogue on the food crisis. Italy is a strong advocate of the importance of reaching out to the most affected countries. We are ready to hear from them about their needs and concerns and ensure that whatever international action is taken is consistent with their requests. We also think that food security issues are best addressed at the regional level. Countries of the Mediterranean region are bound by geography, history, and a common food culture, the Mediterranean diet, which is recognized by UNESCO as intangible world heritage. For this reason, we have convened this meeting. We look forward to discussing with you concrete responses to mitigate the rising levels of food insecurity in the Mediterranean region and in the longer term to make food systems more sustainable and resilient. In 2021, under the Italian presidency, the G20 adopted the Matera Declaration, the first call to action on this issue for the entire international community. The declaration states that food security and sustainable food systems are key to ending hunger, reducing socio-economic inequalities between and within countries, and promoting inclusive economic growth and sustainable development. FAO also launched the Food Coalition, closely linked to the principles of the Matera Declaration, supported by Italy and other international donors. The Food Coalition stands as a platform we can use to implement any collaborative project originating from this dialogue. We aim today at a pragmatic and action-oriented dialogue. We intended to share with you, by the end of June, a technical follow-up document prepared with the FAO in consultation with the co-chairs and international organizations wishing to take part in this effort. Based on the dialogue's results, the document will identify the areas of collaboration and outline concrete actions. Italy intends to convene a second edition of the dialogue in December during the 2022 Med Dialogues Conference in Rome to take stock of the regional collaboration on the key areas identified. Now, I would like to focus on the 4 areas of discussion of this meeting. summarized in the discussion document based on FAO analysis and circulated in preparation of the dialogue. The first area is the FAO proposal of a Mediterranean food import financing facility aimed at limiting the financial impact of import costs of food on the most vulnerable countries. We will hear more about this shortly from Director General Chu. Second, reducing food loss and waste. This is a very serious problem involving from 16 to 20% of food production and tens of millions of tons of food each year in the Mediterranean region. Italy hosts important study centers and can significantly contribute to the development and implementation of national strategies for reducing agricultural losses and waste. Third, promoting a better use of fertilizers. The conflict has strongly affected the availability of these products. The challenge for countries dependent on their import is twofold. Ensure a more efficient use of available fertilizers and improve fertilizers' use efficiency and production through technology and research. Fourth, boosting research and innovation. Innovation across the food system chain will increase resilience and help tackle climate change and biodiversity loss. More can be done in this field by optimizing the use of water, soil, energy and fertilizers and by developing advanced technologies. To conclude, international challenges need multilateral responses. As the President of the Italian Republic, Sergio Mattarella, recently stated, we have chosen multilateralism as we are aware of the interdependence of people's destinies in mutual respect to universally guaranteed peace, development and promotion of human rights. The fight to end hunger requires such a multilateral and integrated approach. We look forward to hearing your views on all these issues and on how to promote a stronger cooperation on food security in the Mediterranean region in line with the Matera Declaration and with the Food Coalition that we launched last year. Now, I'm pleased to leave the floor to the co-chairs, starting with the Germany, President of the G7. Minister Svenja Schulze, first allow me to thank you for co-chairing this dialogue. As G7 presidency, Germany has shown a very strong commitment to tackling the food crisis. Italy fully supports the Global Alliance for Food Security, launched by the G7 leaders upon your initiative, and open to every country and organization sharing our concerns for the repercussions of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine on food security. Minister, we look forward to hearing to your insights. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this warm welcome. Host ministers, fellow co-chairs, Minister Bo Habib and Minister Karici, Director General Q, estimated colleagues, I'm very pleased to be joining the Mediterranean Ministerial Dialogue as a co-chair, also in my function of representing the G7 presidency. This global crisis demands our global attention, and we are facing the worst food crisis in decades, with the most vulnerable and poorest people in Africa, the Middle East, and the Asian Pacific region being the ones who are the most affected. Russia's unjustifiable, unprovoked, and illegal war of aggression against Ukraine is disrupting agricultural production, supply chains, and trade, and has raised food and fertilizer prices to unprecedented levels, making an already dire food security situation much worse. And Germany is an active supporter of the United Nations Crisis Response Group, which covers a broad range of issues: food security, energy, and finance. And for the G7 presidency, Chancellor Scholz is one of the champions supporting these global response. And saving as many people as possible from starvation now means taking global and immediate action. And for this reason, together with the World Bank President David Malpass, I launched the Global Alliance on Food Security at the G7 Development Ministers meeting in May. The alliance will actively support the United Nations Global Crisis Response Group by focusing on the looming food crisis and bringing together like-minded stakeholders. Through the alliance, we will discuss political options to ease the situation, to coordinate support, and to provide foresight in order to better manage the phases of the anticipated crisis. The Global Alliance for Food Security actively engaging in our first steering group meeting and developing the Mediterranean outreach in a complementary way. This Mediterranean dialogue is very timely. It is critically important, after all, to have direct talks with and among the Mediterranean countries, sending a political signal that they are not alone and working together to develop support. Germany will be mobilizing about 4 billion euros in total for food security in developing countries. And for example, we will provide direct cash transfers for the deliverables of collaboration proposed by you for Mediterranean dialogue. Sorry.
Please close the mic.
Yes. Thank you very much. So, all of the 4 deliverables of collaboration proposed by you for the Mediterranean have been very well received by the participants of the Global Alliance on Food Security, and I assure you that they match well with the agenda. With regard to the 4 deliverables, in very short, I took note of your initial proposal for food important financing facility and welcome the general idea. Forward to receive further suggestions on some open questions to make sure that this facility contributes to the current crisis as well as our long-term efforts regarding food security. Through German Development Cooperation, we are already doing work on aspects of food loss and waste, and better and sustainable use of fertilizers is already part of many of our programs, and we will be making further investments in this area. Last but not least, my ministry is a very strong donor for the International Agriculture Research System and has an explicit
contribution, and I'm now pleased to pass the floor to Lebanon, represented by the Minister Bouhabib, also co-chairing this meeting. Lebanon, as a country highly of the recent crisis, has been very active at the multilateral level, notably by promoting the State of Global Food Insecurity resolution within the United Nations General Assembly. We intend to work together to mitigate further consequences of the current economic tensions on food markets and supply chains. For your contribution to the discussion as a co-chair will be of crucial importance. Minister, I give you the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. And Mr. Chair and other colleagues, thank you. I'd like to thank the Minister especially and his colleagues at the Foreign Ministry for organizing this meeting. It is, in fact, a timely meeting. I'm very pleased to address this highly important Mediterranean Forum on food security today, especially that the whole world is struggling with the flow of basic food items. The food security crisis, a consequence of the war in Ukraine, among other things, affected most countries around the globe, especially the developing nations, including my country, Lebanon. As you all probably know, Lebanon is currently facing the most devastating economic crisis in its history. A crisis exacerbated, if not caused, by the presence of about 2 million displaced Syrians and Palestinian refugees, a number that makes up nearly half of its overall population. This crisis is exponential today by shortages of all kinds and the global rise in prices of fuel and foodstuffs. Dear colleagues and friends, the Lebanese people, as well as other nations across the world, are facing this crisis as global attention has shifted to war, bringing my country to the brink of financial, economic, social, and even security collapse. I'm glad that Italy took the initiative to have a Mediterranean